Hello, my name is Garrett Porba, and today I'll be showing you my solar panel project that uses the solar panel as a power source as well as the solar panel controller to power this box here. So what the box does is it can filter water and slightly chill it at the same time. It can also charge your USB device as well as charge anything that's plugged in the AC. So here I have some nasty lake water, which is disgusting. It has algae floating in it and it's slightly tinted. I wouldn't doubt that there's plenty of bacteria and viruses within this, so we'll be testing it out using the filtration system of the box that I made. Now, normally I would use this squeeze pack here and plug it into the end of the Sawyer. However, to illustrate how nasty it is, I'd like to put it into this glass bottle because it just looks cool. So, let's test it out. I was actually very surprised at the flow rate of the pumping system. It ended up sucking half the cup dry in under 20 minutes, and I had to go out and get another cup full of swamp water. It processed around 10 to 12 fluid ounces in around 40 minutes.
Okay, so we turned off the machine, the water appears to be low, and our power's running low. So, let's crack it open. You can see how the water looks. As you can see, got a good half cup. The water is clean. And there's still a slight tint, it looks like. However, that's to be expected because the tonic in the water, or the the leaves acts as almost like tea. So you can't remove the stains without going chemical. So, I'd say the thing did its job. The water also feels pretty cool. It's good drinking temperature. It's not extremely cold. It's probably around 60, but that's to be expected with a battery-powered Peltier, being at how inefficient it is, and how small the actual box for this is. The enclosure for this is extremely small for the Peltier, so it working at all and not having any adverse effects is a achievement in its own. So, that I would call a success. What we have here is the enclosure itself. On the front we have our water spout as well as our AC inverter, which has two USB ports, an AC inverter, and the power light, which will turn red if our battery's getting low and green if it's good to go. This is our switch for the pump inside as well as the fan on the front and all the fans inside, which there are 4 of because of the Peltier, and the actual Peltier heatsink itself right here. So we need to keep an eye on that, make sure it doesn't get too hot. Here we have the main power on the side, and again the Peltier fan is in there, so I cut out inlet holes for that there. So we click this on, and you can see our inverter power up with the switch of this button on the front. You see our fan power up on the front there, and if you pop the top off to the side, you see the pump inside is rotating. This is a self-priming pump that is 3D printed, and it seems to work really well because it moves a lot of liquid at a high PSI, which was very needed for the filter. That way it could actually pull the water because it has such a high resistance to overcome with the fibers. Here we have our cooling area, which houses the pump, and you can see our light actually came on because it was low, so let's take this up for filming. So this is the other side of the Peltier cooler. This is the hot side. This is connected to the cold side, so this will try to chill it a little bit. This is the fan on the side because it gets immensely hot. And in fact, making this enclosure was a huge challenge because it was such a small space, because I want to make it as compact as possible, that there was no room for cooling. And it was insanely hard to cool this Peltier cooler and not make it overheat. So this is one of the 4 fans involved, as well as a bigger blower style fan right in here, which blows air onto the fins of the heatsink, which they're exhausted from here, and then there's obviously a another fan of the heatsink within the Peltier. So 4 fans in total, which I thought was insane. Underneath here we have all the wiring, which uses 14 gauge speaker wire because the Peltier requires about 60 watts. So it was a very big load. This entire machine should run about an hour after being charged under the sun. The power from the sun comes out to about 3 amps when it's coming off of the inverter there. So it usually charges up in about 2 to 5 hours depending on the amount of sun. So I'd say 4 or 5 hours is probably a pretty good estimate for how long it'd take you to get about an hour of runtime. So the end setup for all this is putting the top back on. You plug this into the Sawyer. You plug this into whatever place you want to pump the water to. In my case, it's the Peltier, but you don't have to use it. You could use like a cup or something else. These plug into the chargers coming out of the battery here. So these two, red and black, would get connected. And then the yellow and the black get connected to the red and the black on the solar panel. The whole system is relatively small and pretty portable, and I think it came out really good. Most of the parts on here were actually 3D printed. As you can see, the box, I designed this in CAD, took the dimensions and 3D printed. It took about 16 hours, as well as the pump itself. This is 3D printed.
While it's interesting to see the end product, it's even more intriguing to discover the underlying science beneath the surface that makes it all work. How do we turn light from the sun into usable energy, and how are we able to store all this usable energy? Let's take a look at each device that's involved in the creation and storing of the sun's energy, and how they all relate to each other and how they work on the inside. In order to attain this energy from the sun, we're going to need 3 key items: a solar controller, a solar panel, and a battery. First up, we have the solar controller. It has 4 wires, 2 coming from the solar panel and 2 going to the battery. The job of the controller is to regulate the unconventional 17 to 21 volts into 12 volts. It does this through what is known as PWM, or pulse width modulation, which is an electronic way to reduce voltage. This is needed to make the 12 volt battery happy and accept a charge without damaging it, similar to plugging your phone into a wall brick to charge from the wall. Next, we move to the solar panel itself. It is comprised of many small blue rectangles known as solar cells, which are made from silicon. These solar cells produce energy due to the fact that there are 2 types of silicon on them: N-type silicon, which has more electrons, and P-type silicon, which has extra holes for electrons. The area connecting them is known as the P and N junction, and allows a plus and minus to be formed. When a particle of light hits the panel with enough force, it knocks an electron from the silicon and allows it to flow through the circuit connected to the solar panel. This process creates electricity. The final item is the battery. This outputs 12 volts and works on the principle of oxidation. The electrode of a battery, usually a metal, is suspended in a solution known as an electrolyte. When connected to a circuit, the electrolytic fluid causes the electrode to oxidize, which in turn produces electrons. When the electrode has no more electrons to give and stops oxidizing, it is known as being dead. Thanks for checking out my video. I had a really great time making and putting everything together, as well as learning about solar panels and how they all worked. Special thanks to the people who gave me the solar panel and the solar controller. None of this would have been possible without you. Thank you.